Hi everyone, how's it going? So we have a super new moon coming up in Pisces on the 10th of March. New moons, of course, all about manifestations and intention settings, and it is the start of a new lunar cycle. So we are at the beginning of a new lunar cycle for us. Interestingly, this happening on the 10th of March. And of course, you know, this is about 10 days before we're going to be moving into Aries season. So we're at the end of the zodiac year, if you like, getting into those final days of Pisces season. Before we then kickstart Aries, we start from that first house aspect again to go around the wheel again, okay? So this is about closing things out. But of course, for the new moon, it's about setting things in motion to start things off for us, because it's all about new beginnings, manifestations, intention settings. And Pisces is, of course, the ethereal essence, that magical essence within that enables us to manifest our reality. Okay, if we can unlock that power within, that source energy within, that divinity within, then we can truly manifest what it is we desire for our reality. And up to this point, we've been experiencing quite a lot on our healing journey, this transformation we've been going through. Pluto in Aquarius, you know, the age of Aquarius we're in. It's all about deep, profound transformation that is innovative. It's new for us. It's how we want things to be. We want to experience a new reality. So this is about unlocking the Piscean essence within us to truly put that into place, to manifest from that place of the soul, from the guidance of the intuition, the ethereal essence of Pisces, okay? And allowing us to bring our dreams into reality, that which we want to experience in our lives, okay? And Saturn is in the mix with this, because Saturn is in Pisces at the moment, as is Neptune. Neptune rules Pisces. So we've got the support of the ruling planet. Saturn is maybe not such a great energy to have in Pisces, because he is a taskmaster. It's very heavy masculine energy within Pisces. But Pisces can soften that energy a bit, and Saturn can bring structure to Pisces, which is sometimes needed, because Pisces is about the flow, okay? It's two fish swimming in opposite directions. It's 1 foot in the 3D reality and 1 foot in the 5D ethereal, okay? So we do need a bit of structure at this moment in time. And the reason for all of this, certainly because we've moved into this age of Aquarius, and this is about a new way of being. Okay, this is the reality now, folks. It's going to be a new way of being. So this is all about Saturn helping us get to that place, okay, by bringing us in alignment with our spiritual truth. And he has been in Pisces for a year now, just over a year, okay, because it was the 7th of March last year. And he's been serving up lesson after lesson after lesson to get us in alignment with our spiritual truth, Pisces, with our divinity, Pisces. And anybody that's only just been awakening to this, it can be harsh. Those of us that have already awakened and have been on this journey for a while, it's still been harsh, because Saturn also rules karma, and he's been serving up karmic returns. So of course, blessings for karma that we've cleansed, lessons that we have learned, cycles we've closed out, and further lessons for lessons we've not learned, if you see where I'm coming from. So, and that might feel like one after the other, after the other, after the other. So it can be quite harsh, because he is a taskmaster. He does not mess around, but it's all for our highest good, because he's trying to get us in alignment with our spiritual truth, okay? But Saturn in itself is devoid of emotion, whereas Pisces is very much an emotional sign, okay, as is Cancer. But there is, with Pisces, there is that emotion and sensitivity to it, okay? So that's why it can feel harsh, but it's all for our highest good, okay? And those of us who are Pisces, this is hitting particularly hard, because we're going through this from a Piscean soul perspective as a collective, but also generally the collective are feeling it because it relates to our spiritual truth, our spiritual integrity, okay, our divinity within. So be kind to yourself, nurture yourself, because it has been tough. It's been challenging. Okay, this is all part of the healing journey. It's all part of this deep transformation. And with Pluto doing what Pluto's doing, you know, that's been working hand in hand with Saturn, and it has felt deep, intense, profound, because it's not been surface level transformation. This has been deep from the soul. And we've had to remember who we are as a soul. Okay, and this is why lessons are coming up, and we're remembering certain things. So I've gone off on a tangent there a bit, but this is just to say the Piscean energy, okay, for this super new moon, we will of course have Neptune in Pisces, Saturn in Pisces, and we will have the sun in Pisces, we're in Pisces season, and the moon in Pisces, because that's the new moon. Okay, the sun and the moon will be conjunct. So I'm going to pull up the chart and show you what I was drawn to in terms of the astrological transits, okay, and my insights, and any channel guidance I get whilst I'm doing this reading as well will come forth. And I'll also show you the chart for the UK, just to give some context to the house system, okay? So without further ado, let's jump right in. Okay, bear with me whilst I pull up the chart. Here we go. There's an alarm going off outside. How interesting is that? Okay. I don't know if you can hear that. Apologies if you can. But you'll see here the chart for the super new moon in Pisces. Okay, 10th of March, so it's this Sunday. And for those of us in the UK on GMT, it will be 9 a.m. Okay, so apply your own time zones as appropriate. And you can see here, we've got the sun and the moon at 20 degrees of Pisces. So they are conjunct, they are close to each other, or I like to say they're on top of each other. Now, you know that obviously that's not going to be possible, but it is my way of explaining how close they are, okay? So they are conjunct in Pisces with Neptune and Saturn there, as I mentioned. Now, interestingly, with the sun and moon there is a sextile, which is a harmonious aspect that's going to Uranus. And that alarm is getting louder, if you can hear it. So there is this sextile with Uranus in Taurus. Okay, and Uranus is the planet that rules Aquarius. So there is that innovation, there is that liberation, and there is this essence of change. Okay, we also need to bear in mind connections with others, but certainly there is change here. And in Taurus, this relates to worth and values, okay, and being grounded in that to enable this change. So this sextile that's happening is harmonious. So of course, the sun and the moon, we've got the soul essence of the cosmos, the sun, and we've got the emotional home, the moon, in Pisces, in sextile to Uranus. So our manifestations and intention settings, if we are grounded in our worth and values, we can manifest and set our intentions to really create change here, and change that's going to liberate us forward. Okay, so that's important to mention straight off the bat. But there is a square that's going on from the sun and moon to Vesta in Gemini, okay? And that's a more challenging aspect in astrology. So that can just be saying that, okay, we may not have fully understood where our sacred flame is, what our sacred flame is, who our sacred flame is. And so it's creating a bit of challenging energy because we're wanting to manifest this new beginning, but we're still maybe needing to look at something from two sides, Gemini. We might be needing to apply a bit of logic, Gemini. We might need to just investigate or be curious about this, Gemini, okay? And Gemini is also mutable energy, so that can flow with the Piscean energy. But because there is a square, this is saying that there could be a bit of challenge here, because if we're not too sure what it is we want, i.e. the sacred flame energy, what sparks that flame within, how can we manifest what it is we desire? So we need to just bear that in mind. We've got the potential here to actually manifest, to create change, but we need to be sure, we need to be grounded in our worth and values. We need to know who we are, we need to know our worth, and we need to understand what our values are. Because if we understand that, we know what we will accept and what we won't accept, what's in alignment with our spiritual truth and what isn't. And therefore, we're also making Saturn happy with that as well. And by doing that, it's almost like a process of elimination in terms of then, okay, well, that could be my sacred flame, because actually that sparks the flame within me to create. That inspires me to create. And now I am sure of who I am, my worth, my values. I know what it is. So great. I've had to take a bit of a moment there to just investigate and work things out. But now I know, great. Okay, I can manifest to create this change, to then feel liberated in terms of who I am. Okay. And interestingly, I did a collective tarot reading earlier today for the Divine Feminine Collective. Because it's International Women's Day today, 8th of March, time of me recording this. And I chose to do that. I was guided to do that, okay? And the oracles that I took from the beginning, from the Goddess Spirit deck, one of them related to libertas. So it was all about freedom and liberation, but from an awakening point of view. So once you awaken to that truth within you, and you kind of light your own torch, knowing who you are and owning who you are, that's going to then enable change, because you know what it is you're worthy of. Okay, so I just felt like I needed to mention that also. So we've got the potential here to manifest. Okay, it's a super new moon, so it's potent energy, and you know, the sun and moon are in Pisces. So Pisces is that magical ethereal place that represents divinity, that represents spirituality. It's the psychic house. So there's magic to this, there's mystery to this, but there is that potential to really unlock the power within us to manifest. And this is if we can allow ourselves to accept that power within us, but also manifesting from a place that serves us, not anything that affects the free will of other people. Okay, that's important to mention as well. So anyway, let's go back to this, because we've got other things going on here. And I should mention that because I've spoken about Saturn, Saturn is at 11 degrees of Pisces there. And there is direct opposition with Juno at 11 degrees of Virgo. Of course, Pisces, Virgo, opposite signs, as we know. So the opposition can give a push-pull type energy. So it can also create friction and challenging energy. Juno is the divine feminine asteroid that represents love and marriage. Okay. And I've been talking about Juno quite a bit because of what I've seen in the astrology that relates to supportive partnerships, committed relationships, and soul contracts. Okay. So there is something here that is causing tension when it comes to supportive partnerships, committed relationships, soul contracts, because of the lessons. So Saturn is serving out lessons, and it's creating tension in these partnerships. Okay. And these partnerships don't have to be romantic. And I've said this before in other astrology reports. This is about a committed partnership, committed relationship between two souls. It's a soul contract. Okay. And Saturn also rules karma, as we know. So there could be karma in a soul contract that needs to be cleansed. So there is just a little bit of opposition energy here, because that's what it is. 11, 11. And how interesting is that? 11, 11. So it's aligned. And that sounds like a contradiction, doesn't it? Why would it be aligned for there to be tension? Why wouldn't it be aligned to be harmonious? Well, because karma has to be cleansed. And these things need to come up to the surface to be cleansed in order for the soul contract to fully come into play, or for the commitment to fully, you know, materialize, whatever it might be, strengthen. Okay. So it's all about, you know, how the opposition energy can just be feeling a bit push, pull, not to mention Juno in Virgo, wanting to get things in order, Virgo energy, clean things up. And Saturn in Pisces having a bit of a tough time because Saturn's trying to create structure in a sign that really doesn't want structure. And also it's about bringing dreams into reality. And perhaps there's a bit of resistance to this, which is also why there's opposition energy. Okay. But if we're aware of this, we can allow the energy to work for us by understanding that this is part of the process to go through the Saturnian lessons, to try and cleanse the karma that we can of that which we're aware of, and to be open to change in that way, to be open to how these supportive partnerships might come into fruition or how they might deepen if you're already in one. So it can be a number of things, okay, but there is just a bit of tension in the air. There is a trine, though, that's going from Juno to Jupiter, and Jupiter is in Taurus, okay? And Jupiter was one of the original rulers of Pisces, okay, before Neptune was discovered. So there is also a spiritual feel to Jupiter. And Jupiter is a gas giant. Jupiter rules Sagittarius now, okay? So there is that expansive energy. And there's also the essence of, like, the quest, okay? And we've been on this quest for quite a while, discovering a lot about ourselves and, you know, certainly as we've been healing. So this trine, which is harmonious between Juno and Jupiter, is very significant. And if you know your mythology, you'll know that Juno is attributed to the Roman goddess and is the female counterpart of Jupiter. Okay? So look at this and you say, right, okay, Juno and Jupiter are actually in harmonious aspect to one another, but there is friction with Saturn, who is trying to get us in alignment with spiritual truth, who is trying to help us cleanse karma, okay, and all of that, serving up lessons. So it almost feels like there is this mutual understanding between the two counterparts, because there's that harmonious trine between them, that this is happening. There's a mutual understanding that this tension has to be experienced to go through the lessons in order for it to be victorious. Okay? That's how it feels. So again, it kind of almost feels like a contradiction in a way, because you think, well, if the two counterparts are actually in harmony to one another, why is there this push-pull type energy to Saturn? And this is where you look at astrology as the bigger picture. And because there's this direct opposition between the two, it's like a face-off. It's a face-off between the two. And it's not only a face-off between Pisces, Virgo, as in dreams versus reality. It's also a face-off between, you know, wanting to establish these soul contracts, but really needing to learn the lessons and cleanse the karma. Okay, so it's almost like a kind of butting of heads, but underneath it all, the two involved have a mutual understanding that this has to happen for the karma to be cleansed, for the lessons to be learned. Okay, and I can't mention, you know, what's going on with Juno without mentioning about Lilith, who is by the side. And Lilith is also divine feminine energy, but it's the shadow feminine. Okay, so if we look at what's happening with Lilith, there is also an opposition to the sun and the moon. So this super new moon also has a bit of shadow to it, because we have been doing the shadow work. We've been understanding certain things that have been coming up that Lilith has been showing us, because Lilith is a great teacher in that way. So certain wounds, okay, maybe abandonment wounds, fears of rejection, anything that might challenge that femininity within, the power to create, the ability to be open to receive love, okay, things like that. And so we've had to address these. Where are they coming from? What's going on? Okay, and it could be tied into these soul contracts, because maybe from past life or earlier this lifetime, some karma has built up in that way, which has created those fears, those wounds. So therefore, it needs to be cleansed. And this is why there is that mutual understanding. Okay. But aside from that, we still need to address certain shadow aspects coming up. And when you look at Virgo, there is, when you look at the shadow side of Virgo, there is this need for perfection and control, not in a controlling way, but Virgo likes to feel in control because Virgo wants to get things done, clean things up, but wants to feel in control of that. And a lot of this has been about surrendering, and that can be uncomfortable. So the surrendering is actually more on the Piscean side. But the Virgo side wants to know what's happening. Why is this happening? I need to feel in control of this. Okay. So it can create this kind of need to be in control of everything and for everything to be perfect, or the idealistic way of perfectionism. So it's challenging that Virgo energy to surrender more. Okay. And that can also be uncomfortable. So that's why with the opposition there between Lilith and the sun and the moon, okay, we can manifest, we've got the potential to manifest the reality that we desire, okay, as with any new moon. But we need to look at this for the other things going on. We need to also understand that, yes, we need to have our worth and values in check. We need to be grounded in who we are, to own who we are, because how can we manifest what we really want if we don't know who we are and what we're worthy of? There's uncertainty that bubbles around that. Okay, so when we understand that, that's where that harmonious sextile can really work between Uranus and the sun and the moon. Well, now, you know, because of the opposition energy with Lilith, it's kind of saying, well, we need to make sure that we've got the shadow aspects, you know, under check as well. We need to be surrendering a bit more. And interestingly, there is also a quincunx between Chiron and Lilith. Okay, so that's this orange line, if it appears orange on the screen. Okay, so Chiron in Aries, that's our healing journey, healing our sovereignty, and of course Lilith in Virgo. So this quincunx is basically an in conjunction. So whereas we've got the sun and the moon conjunct, okay, heightening the energy, working together, this is not working together. Okay, this is just not working together. So the shadow side is challenging the healing journey because of the strive for perfectionism and because of this desire to want to control things. So that's not supporting our healing journey. Now, Chiron in Aries is all about healing our sovereignty, stepping into our leadership, the warrior spirit, the self. Aries rules the first house. So really wearing that crown and being proud of it, okay? Our sovereignty. So we need to understand that there is a bigger picture here, and the shadow work is important because it's part of our healing journey. But striving for perfection, that's an idealistic kind of perfection, and also wanting to be in control of every little thing, is not serving the healing journey at this moment in time because of the quincunx there. Okay, it's almost like, you know, with the North Node, that's the direction we're going, and that is sovereignty as well. So we're healing, we're becoming sovereign leaders, and yet we're getting tied up in the detail of how everything should be, how everything needs to be, rather than saying, okay, this is what I'm worth, these are my values, this is what inspires me, okay, and I'm stepping into my full expression of my authenticity, and therefore if I manifest this reality, I trust that things will fall into place, rather than saying, okay, well, I've healed up to a certain point, but actually I need to know this, this and that before I do this, okay? And it's very easy to get into that, trust me, okay? I'm a Pisces, but I have a lot of Virgo in my chart. So I have got natural push-pull energy within my natal chart. And let me tell you, that is challenging, because there is this need to flow and go with the flow, but also this need to be grounded into what's going on here. You know, I need to know what's going on here. So I get it, okay? And it's definitely straddling the two dimensions, third dimension and fifth dimension. This is saying that in order for us to be sovereign leaders of our own life, we cannot control everything. Okay, so when it comes to our manifestations, we manifest, we cannot control everything. The divine steps in, the universe steps in, okay? If it's in alignment with us and we're coming from a place of unconditional love, we're not manifesting to affect anybody else's free will, then of course the universe is going to work with us to bring that to reality, but in divine timing, not on the timing we dictate, because timing is an illusion anyway, okay? And when you think of it, you know, because the calendar is man-made. And this is why, when you look at this year, for example, it's a leap year. So there's one extra day this year, okay? So all these portals that keep getting spoken about because of dates, astrologically, might not be the same portal, because the dates are not the same. So I'm just putting that out there, because it's the reality of waking up to this, that divine timing is at play, okay? So there needs to be this surrender, and that's the Piscean energy. It's a new moon in Pisces. It's a super new moon in Pisces, in fact. So potent energy around this, but it's got to be linked to surrendering as well. The moon in Pisces generally is the most sensitive place for the moon to be. Okay, so it can be very heightened when it comes to emotions. And with the sun there as well, conjunct, okay, this is very heavy on the soul. This is it can be very sensitive on the soul. And that's also why we feel like we're holding on to control. You know, we want to feel in control of things. So it's completely understandable in that way. This is now saying, okay, we've got to step up a gear here and step into our sovereignty and understand what we're worthy of, what our values are, the change that we want to see for our lives, okay, knowing that we're worthy of it, finding that inspiration, being curious to you know, understand exactly what it is if we're still a little bit unsure, but working with that energy to understand, but to lay off the control and to lay off the perfectionism. Okay, this is what it is, all right? So that's what I'm drawn to with that. Now, with Pluto, okay, this deep, profound transformation that Pluto offers, there is a trine with Pars Fortuna, the pot of fortune. So all of this transformation is not for nothing. This transformation is actually working for us, okay? It's bringing us this fortune of transformation. It's allowing us to step into a new way of being, one that is going to be aligned with our spiritual truth. So there needs to be a trust in that as well, okay? And Mercury, so Mercury is in Aries, okay? And you can see 0 degrees, because Mercury would have moved into Aries 5 hours before this super new moon, okay? At this point of the super new moon, he is 0 degrees, 23 minutes, but still 0 degrees. Okay, so Mercury in Aries, this is about speaking your truth, honoring your sovereignty and speaking your truth. Aries is a cardinal sign which gets things started. So starting conversations that need to happen. And that's also enabling this transformation. Okay, transforming into a new way of being, Pluto in Aquarius. And also Aquarius, connections with others. Where have you got to speak up in these connections with other people? Okay. And again, in alignment with worth and values, everything else in the bigger picture of things, because there is a sextile here, so it's harmonious. So our true expression from a place of sovereignty, Aries energy, is going to support the transformation. And vice versa. All of this transformation we've been going through, we're more honoring ourselves now in terms of our expression. So we're understanding more about what we will tolerate, what we won't tolerate, what we want, what we don't want. And therefore, we can be more confident in our expression, in our communication with others, but also with ourselves. Okay. So if you look at it like this, with Mercury now in Aries and having that strength, that courage to speak up and to communicate, okay, that's very powerful in itself. Next to Neptune in Pisces, okay, they're different signs, but there's only a couple of degrees difference there. And this is about communication, potentially also via our intuition. So receiving what we're receiving from our intuition and then speaking truthfully to ourselves about that. You know, that communication from what we receive via our intuition, via our crown chakra, for example, and then acknowledging and speaking honestly to ourselves is what's going to enable change as well. Okay, but speaking up. This is about not holding back. Okay, this is what's going to enable us to move forward with this Aries energy. And yes, 10 days after this super new moon, it will be Aries season. So we're kickstarting the zodiac year with fire energy. And this is cardinal energy to get things started. Let's get things done. Let's go, go, go. Well, beforehand, we're doing the groundwork with Pisces, aren't we? We're getting in touch with our soul, our spirituality, our divinity, our intuition. We're going through these Saturnian lessons, and that will continue for another couple of years, by the way. However, if we are learning these lessons and we are speaking up, we're acknowledging our worth and values, we're understanding all of this, well, that's going to enable our journey to progress further in a quicker way. Okay, let's get the memo from our intuition and let's act on it, as the motorbike going past agrees, because that was quite fast. So that's what I would say to that. You've got the potential there to manifest the reality. And also, I mean, 2020 for the degrees of the sun and the moon. Since 2020, the year of profound change, our lives look a lot different, okay, than 2020. So we've already gone through extensive transformation. This is about honoring ourselves now and knowing what's important to us, knowing what feels good to us. Where is our happiness? Where is our sacred flame energy that creates that spark within us that gives us the lust for life? Where is that? What are our values? Do we know our worth? Are we stepping into our sovereignty? Are we speaking up for what we believe in? Are we listening to our soul? Are we listening to our intuition? Are we learning the Saturnian lessons? Are we balancing the feminine and masculine energy within? Are we understanding the deep transformation? Are we showing ourselves the love and beauty that we have within our soul? Are we recognizing that? Okay, this is all about the journey. And 2020 also 2-2 harmony. Okay, harmony and balance. It's we want to get ourselves into that balanced state of being, of living, you know, living in a balanced way and understanding that we can change our reality, but we're the ones in the driving seat with this. And we need to know our worth and values first and foremost. 100%. I don't think I mentioned the sextile between Saturn and Jupiter. So essentially, these lessons that we're learning that Saturn is serving up, it is facilitating expansion. It is enabling growth. And that's what's happening in our worth and values. So we're understanding more lessons. We're becoming more in tune with our worth and values. and knowing what we're worthy of, understanding what we want in our lives, you know, not settling for things, but what we actually want. So let's bring it into balance and let's remain sovereign throughout all of this, okay? And just take the foot off the gas with the control and the perfectionism. Understand the shadow work that we need to do, addressing those fears that might be coming up for attention that relate to, well, I've got to feel in control. There's obviously a fear around that, isn't there? So that needs to be addressed as part of the shadow work. And that's also going to then serve the healing journey and everything else going on. Okay. So I'll leave it there with that one. I will show you the chart with the UK's chart. Just to give context on the house system. Oh, there we go. So as you can see here, so the inner wheel is the UK's natal chart. The outer wheel is the super new moon in Pisces that I've just shown you. Okay. And you can see there with the yellow arrow, the sun and the moon are going to be in the 9th house for the UK. So that is Sagittarius's house. That is the house of learning and discovery, the quest. So it's all got to this point. What have we learned? What have we discovered about our truth from our intuition? What has our intuition been telling us that we need to manifest for our reality to make change? Okay. And everything else that's going on, you know, so we've got many houses sort of in the mix here. The 11th house is part of this. The 10th house is part of this. The 7th house is part of this. And also the 3rd house is part of this. So it does relate to expression. It does relate to our relationships with people, places, things, our connections with others, and our inner authority as well. Okay. Mars and Venus are both transiting through the 8th house of power. So let's empower ourselves more by getting that balance between the masculine and feminine within. Okay. They're both in Aquarius still at this moment in time. Venus will be moving into Pisces imminently, you know, so that will be another change that's happening. But at the moment, they're both in Aquarius. So the masculine and feminine are both striving for this new way of being as well. Okay, so it's all linked in. It's all linked into this. But interestingly, with the sun and the moon, you know, there's only 1 degree's difference with the UK's natal Jupiter. So this is hitting the UK's desire for expansion and also hope, fortune, all of that. So if we can understand, as I say, if we understand the memo from our intuition and we know what it is we want to manifest, this is going to facilitate great expansion within us as a collective. Okay, it's also going to empower us in terms of our expression as well. But we need to definitely listen to our intuition, because Mercury in Pisces for the UK's natal chart is also there in the mix. So there is this communication we need to have with our intuition to understand what it is we're trying to manifest for our reality in this way, and to unlock that power of the Piscean energy based on what we've learned and discovered so far. 9th house. Okay, I'll leave it there. Before I do finally go, let's just pull up this chart here, because I did look at Mercury in Aries. Okay, so bearing in mind, Mercury ingresses into Aries about 5 hours before the super new moon. Okay, so early hours of the morning for the UK on the 10th of March. Of course, other places it's going to happen on the 9th of March at night, you know, so apply your own time zones as appropriate. But you'll see Mercury down the bottom there, 0 degrees of Aries. Okay, so that's the moment, and there is still that sextile with Pluto. So that's still the case for the super new moon, because I've just shown you that. So this is where, yes, this is about empowerment of speaking up to facilitate and support the transformation we've been going through, to make change, and also how this transformation journey already has enabled us to have the courage to speak up as well. Okay, two-way street. But I was intuitively drawn to these 3 aspects that were 19 degrees. And then, of course, it's like, well, yes, there's a trine there. So that's why I've drawn the triangle. So we've got past Fortuna, pot of fortune at this point in Capricorn, okay, because that moves quite fast. And then we've got Uranus in Taurus, as we know, and also Lilith in Virgo that we know. So at this point, there will be a trine between the 3 of them. And of course, that changes in the super new moon chart, as we know. But this is an Earth trine, because they're all earth signs at this point. Okay, 19 might be significant for you because I was intuitively drawn to the number first of all, so take that if it resonates for you. And of course 1 and 9 is 10, and that reduces to a 1, which is all about the self. So this is about, you know, the journey of the self anyway. But 19 is definitely significant for some of you. Okay, but understanding that our fortune, you know, when it comes to maybe business related matters because of Capricorn, but ultimately rules and boundaries that we want in our lives, that is linked to the change that's happening because of our worth and values. Okay, Uranus in Taurus, and also the shadow aspects coming up for our attention in Virgo. So obviously by the time of the super new moon, there is that emphasis, you know, there's still opposition energy now because the sun and the moon are still opposite Lilith. So there is this tension that's building because of this need to be, you know, in control of everything. And don't get me wrong, you know, I don't want to confuse matters. We do need to be in control of our destiny. We are the ones in control of our destiny in our reality. But this is about controlling every little aspect where we need to surrender. Okay, it's striving too much for needing to know, rather than just going with the flow and saying, okay, I trust this will work out in my favor in the way it's divinely intended to, you know, that kind of thing. The Pisces versus the Virgo. Okay, so the tension's already building, but this trine is saying that, you know, we can really establish our own rules and boundaries if we know we're worth. If we know our worth, I was going to say we're worthy of. So I was blending the words there, apologies. So if we know we are worthy of change, then we can put these rules and boundaries in place and also address these shadow aspects, okay, to get things done, to clean things up, to get things in order in that harmonious way. But we do need to understand our worth and values, because that's what's going to bring the fortune, quote unquote, in this situation. Okay, that's going to enable us to put the boundaries in place that we need to. And it might be that we need to, you know, let some boundaries down, because maybe with that need for control, we've been kind of too guarded. So it's also saying, well, look, okay, we got to understand our worth and values. And if we're willing to say, okay, we're worthy of being open to receive divine love, opportunities, blessings, etc., then maybe we need to let the guard down a bit. And that's what's also going to help us doing the shadow work. Okay, so take it as it resonates. Okay, I just wanted to pull that up as well to show you. So I'm now going to just pull some cards. Okay, I'll timestamp all of this as well. But I'm going to first of all go for the Starco's Astro deck. I did the Tarot and Oracle reading, as I mentioned, for Divine Feminines. So regardless of how you identify, what gender you are, you might resonate with the Divine Feminine essence. Okay, so this is all about energy. If it resonates for you, it resonates for you. Even if you're not a Divine Feminine and you don't associate as being a Divine Feminine, you might watch the reading and there might be some messages in there for you. So if it resonates for you, if it speaks to you, then of course, check it out. It's on my YouTube channel. But there was certainly a lot in there about trust, faith, okay, having faith, but needing to make a choice ultimately. And that's the thing with this reality. We've got the gift of free will. And, you know, any choice we make can change the energy. So that's why it's fluid. Okay. So just bear that in mind with any sort of tarot reading that you might be watching. Okay. It gives great potentiality for the moment, but within an hour of that, the energy changes because certain choices have been made, you know, different things happen. That's how fluid it is. Okay. And it's collective energy. So it's not going to resonate for everybody. But let's see if we've got some additional messages for the super new moon in Pisces on the 10th of March, based on the astrology that we've just seen. Let's see what we've got from the Starco's Astro deck. Thank you. Oh, wow. Okay, so this was in reverse, opposition. This has come out for me before. So this is that energy of the butting heads that I was talking about. So if you're just watching the cards, you might want to actually go back and see the astrology. So this is like Juno and Saturn. This is like the Pisces and Virgo, okay, based on what I've seen. It's not the Juno and Jupiter, because that's the mutual understanding of what's going on. But there is a butting of heads that needs to happen at this moment in time. There's a purpose to it, okay? Within the soul contracts, supportive partnerships, committed relationships. Imam Kohli root, so that's in reverse as well. So needing to get grounded, yeah, absolutely, in worth and values, okay? And there we go, trine sextile. So that is the more harmonious aspect. So that is more of that Juno-Jupiter. So we've got the two differences there. So that's significant with what's going on with the supportive partnerships. Okay, on the bottom, progressions, journey. Yeah, understanding it is a journey, it is a quest. We're discovering things all the time. So to not be too hard on ourselves, you know, we're discovering this as we're going, we're learning the lessons, and we need to be proud of what we've achieved so far. Okay? Let's lift ourselves up, let's not drag ourselves down. Okay. Right, Moonology manifestations, because it is a supernumerary moon. What do we need to know, please, for the supernumerary moon? Thank you. What do we need to know for the supernumerary moon? There we go. Oops, that one. Oh, that's very interesting. Okay. Talk less, feel more. So absolutely the Piscean energy there. Okay. And I don't want to confuse this with what I was saying with Mercury and Aries, because that's all about speaking up. Well, we need to speak up if we feel that we need to speak up. But this is about feeling into things, okay? And actually having that quiet time to go within, to really listen to our intuition, to feel into the intuition and what our intuition is telling us. Okay, that's what I would say to that one. And wow, on the bottom, more Pisces energy, attuned to the divine. Yeah, that's what's needed. There is a need to connect, to go within, connect to the ethereal essence of Pisces, and understand where it is you're being directed to in terms of your manifestations and intention settings based on your ethereal essence. Okay? Fabulous. Queen of the Moon. Queen of the Moon, what can we have, please? Queen of the Moon. Queen of the Moon. Supernumerary moon of Pisces, thank you. Assessing. That's card number 9 as well. Wow. Yeah, if you notice here, because she's on the top of this hot air balloon and she's kind of in space, you know, so this is like the Piscean sort of, you know, dream world, that 5D realm in a way, but in the cosmos, you know, and she's actually looking at something from a different perspective, but also a higher perspective. So you might need to just assess your situation. And this could relate to, because what's coming through to me is the sacred flame energy. So what I said about Vesta. And if you do need to look at something to understand truly what inspires you or who inspires you, you know, where that sacred flame is for you, this is about assessing it from a different and higher perspective. But it also ties into Pisces energy, because that is that higher perspective. It's the ethereal, it's from the crown chakra, it's source energy flowing through you from above, okay, higher self. So you may just need to look at something from that perspective. Hidden energy, because things are going to get hot and steamy, potentially, okay? What I would say to this is, you know, extremes. This is feeling the heat of the situation. I get Mars vibes to this, okay, because that's that masculine sort of energy, but there is heat to a situation. And it's almost like you might feel, because underneath it, yeah, we've got release and we've got realization. Okay, so understanding that portal of opportunity, but needing to release something. So things are kind of like heating up because there's a need to release something so you can step through the portal in order to create change. And that's maybe what you need to look at. Okay, that's what that feels like. Okay. Goddess Spirit, let's see what Goddess Spirit have for us. Okay, Goddess Spirit, what do you have for us, please? Thank you. Oh, I love it. Oh, I love it. Thank you, Spirit. Look at this, Gaia. How beautiful. And this represents the world. Okay, it's all about completion. It's all about cycles, old cycles ending, new cycles beginning. But notice how she is caressing the earth, and think of that as your reality. You know, you're actually nurturing your own reality right now. So cycles that need to close out in order for new ones to begin. And there is that ethereal essence to that because you're in control of it, not the controlling Virgo side, okay? But you're in control of it, of your destiny. But ultimately, yeah, so it says success on there as well, okay? It's going to enable you to manifest the success you want to see in your life, but there needs to be belief, there needs to be trust and surrender. It's not just going to fall into our laps, okay? And there is just something very soft about this. So there is that divine feminine essence, of course, the nurturing side, but understanding you are the creator of your reality, okay, the co-creator with the universe. But it's beautiful, you know, it's beautiful. It's understanding. Sorry, I don't know if that went, that might have gone black. My battery was going, sorry. Understanding that, you know, you can nurture that world for yourself. So that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And on the bottom, we've got healer, which is the heart chakra. And I love how I've got the green on as well. Loving connection. So this is about, you know, the heart chakra, having that connection to the heart chakra. And you may be a healer, you know, who's here to actually help other people through empowerment, through actual healing work, but ultimately through your journey, because that empowers other people when you go through what you've been through, and that's inspiring to other people. Okay, so holding on to that as well, as being a superpower within yourself also. Let's just see what the Lightseers Tarot wants to give us. I'll just take a few tarot cards, okay, just to get some additional messages. But I think it's beautiful. You know, we can truly embrace this. If we're just aware and we accept any opposition energy that we are feeling or experiencing within a committed partnership, supportive partnership, soul contract, that there is this mutual understanding on a soul level as to why this is happening. Okay, it's all to do with Saturn in Pisces. Eeks. Okay, let's see. Ooh, yeah, Page of Swords. What else can I have, please? They're flying everywhere. Okay, jumpy, jumpy. Okay, one more, please. One more, please. Okay. Right, we have two major arcana that came out, both of which in reverse. In fact, they're all in reverse apart from this one, the Page of Swords. So this is about learning and discovery, okay? And notice that she's walking across that ravine on a sword, but she's not even looking because she's studying. And she's got the wisdom of the birds around her. She's walking. This is like a fearless approach to her journey, to her discovery, okay? But with Seven of Cups in reverse, that could be saying, all right, there's been a bit of confusion over different options of emotional fulfillment, but there is a sense of coming out of that, and that's because a choice is needed, okay? Lovers in reverse can represent a choice. It might relate to a soulmate connection. It doesn't have to, because it is the choice card, okay? It's Gemini energy as well. And there is a need to come out of this sort of, and I say victim mentality, which is all about focusing on why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? Instead, kind of saying, okay, I understand why that's happened. It's happened for me for this reason. Okay, so it's coming out of that. That's good. Okay, but there is still resistance to a new cycle. Now, we saw that beautiful Gaia card, okay, that was all about cycles, cycle completion. So something needs to close out in order for a new cycle, but there might just be resistance because of fears, okay? And a new beginning wants to come in, a new stable beginning. But what I will say from this card is, in this position, even though it's in reverse, because the hands are kind of cupping it over the top, there's almost like a protective element to this. So there is a new stable beginning here that is being protected, okay? Whilst choices are being made, discovery is happening, and work is being done to release fears around a new beginning, okay? This new beginning is actually being protected. Now, on the bottom, we've got 4 of Swords in reverse, and we've got 2 of Pentacles underneath that, and the Chariot, and Justice. Oh, and Queen of Swords in reverse. Right, detachment from something brings justice, brings movement towards victory, but there might be a choice here, okay? And what you need to do is rest and recuperate to avoid burnout, okay? Because all of this going on might be overwhelming energetically, okay? And there was that other card, wasn't there, about taking time out and checking in with your intuition. Okay, that's a form of self-love as well. And the other ones that flipped out were the 9 of Wands, Magician in reverse, and Knight of Swords in reverse. Now, the Knight of Swords is the fastest knight in the deck. So in reverse, that could be saying things are moving, but slower than you would want them to be, or slower than would be expected. And that might be because you still need to step into your power of that Magician energy. Remember, super new moon in Pisces, okay? And to be less defensive and guarded of your territory, okay? Boundaries are important. There is resilience to this, but remember that if you accept an Ace of Wands, that makes 10 of Wands, and that becomes overburdening. So there is a need to be quite measured in how you go about this, okay? To not be so defensive or guarded, but notice that she could step over that kind of wall of Wands anyway. And she is holding that one that's more kind of, you know, tall, more vibrant, more powerful. So it's almost like knowing your worth as well. You know, this is the opportunity that I want, and I am being, I am being very protective of that, okay? So yes, that's great, but just caution in terms of you don't want to overburden oneself, but there is a need to step into your power as the Magician, okay? And understand that things might be moving slower than expected, but they are still moving, okay? That's what I would say to that. So, hope this finds you well. And of course, I'm sending you love and blessings for this super new moon in Pisces. Let's embrace the magic within us, okay? And if we need to take that moment to go within to understand what it is, to be open to the signs, you know, from the pure white light, of course, as we're meditating, and to really understand what our intuition is telling us, and all of the things I've mentioned in the astrology that go hand in hand with one another, you know, the sovereignty, the shadow work, the transformation, the speaking up, the balance between masculine and feminine, the understanding of the opposition within connections, if that's resonating for you, because there is a deeper purpose to it. Okay, so sending you all the best, and until the next time, take care of you, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.